Good morning. My name is Eric Adams, Brooklyn Borough President, and I'm here in the capacity as the Borough President, but I do want to point out that on one side of Brooklyn, I am dealing with crime, while on another side of Brooklyn, someone is dealing with placard abuse. That's a New Paltz crisis. That's not a Brooklyn crisis, and that's not a New York City crisis. Crime in this city is dealing with gun violence, anti-Asian violence, and real issues that they are impacting on the safety of New Yorkers. And I'm going to focus on those safety issues, and that is what this city is concerned about. I'm joined here today by my friend, the Transportation Chair, Councilman Adonis Rodriguez, and also an amazing organizational leader with Hollaback, Jorge Ortega, who's going to be speaking as well. We're speaking about a real issue in our city that is part of our economic recovery. Last week, subway ridership hit its highest level since the pandemic. Over 2 million New Yorkers rode the subways. But many New Yorkers are still afraid. They're still afraid to use a system that is the lifeblood of New York. And if we don't deal with the public safety crises that this city is faced with, it is going to stymie our recovery and our growth. The long-term fiscal health of the MTA will hinder the city's recovery if we don't get it right. An MTA survey released earlier this week found that the number one concern for regular riders is safety. 72% of riders describe themselves, here's this, very concerned about the safety of their commute. And I hear it every day when I'm on the subway system that people are concerned about how well we are protecting our riders. The survey also found something else that was alarming. 36% said they have not rode the subway or public transit due to fears about crime. 7 in 10 pointing out safety is an extremely important issue for them, and it is going to factor in their decision to return to the subway system. These fears are understandable, and they're clear to me. I see it every day on the system. Many people are dealing with mental health crises. There's no real proactive measures that are currently being taken to address it. But let's be clear, we have the tools. We just need the coordination and we need the effort to get it right. And right here at this station on Sunday, an Asian woman was attacked on the subway platform at this stop when a man tried to push her onto the tracks. 2 Good Samaritans intervened and the suspect ran away. It should not be luck and trial and error that would determine if we will have a safe commute or not. And that's why I am renewing my calls for the MTA to fund bystander intervention training for all who are interested. And this organization, Hollaback, offers free bystander intervention training, as you will hear from them now. They have the capacity to conduct 20,000 such trainings by the end of the year. That is crucial for us as we have a set of eyes that could assist our law enforcement community, but in a trained way, not in a reckless way. If the MTA can allocate $100,000 to additional trainings, we can reach another 50,000 people. That is a significant number. We're also renewing our calls from February for a comprehensive safety plan for the subway system. This would include encouraging better coordination between NYPD and MTA on issues of camera access and coordination between platform. And as a former transit cop, you should not have 3 and 4 officers all standing together. I rode alone. We need to use our manpower better. And there should be a question that we're asking the city. When the subway system was closed down for a period of time, Where were our subway cops? How come they were not deployed into high crime areas to make sure that we better utilize our manpower? We also believe in amending the city's 311 system to facilitate deployment of appropriate responding professionals, mental health workers, or officers. A better coordination will get us a better result. And strengthening the use of Kendra's law, which allows court-ordered assisted outpatient treatment for people with severe mental health issues. We have to become more proactive in this area. When you look at the number of incidents of shoving innocent people on the tracks, assaults, attacks, it still continues to come back to people are not receiving the right mental health support that they need. So we want to send a clear message to New Yorkers. This subway system is safe, and in order for it to be safe, those who are in charge of public safety must coordinate, must be proactive, and must partner with local organizations and communities to keep our city running effectively. The prerequisite to prosperity is public safety. I'm going to say that over and over again, and I'm not going to move away from that. If this city is not safe, this city is not going to open, it's not going to function, and we're not going to recover from COVID. The prerequisite to prosperity is public safety. I want to bring on now Councilman Adonis Rodriguez.
Thank you, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, a leader in the city of New York, someone that has been working along TWA, the men and women that keep our train station safe and clean and run the largest public transportation system in the whole nation and the second one in the whole world. I'm not going to be getting into the details. You heard from the VP. We've been working together. I support his plan. I think that this is a plan that all New Yorkers support. The question is why. We need to do it because the issue of safety has to be addressed. You know, we only have 63% of our train station with camera in New York City. Only 63%. And that's why the VP is also calling for the MTA also to expedite the process to be sure not only that all and every single station they should have a camera, but also to run the camera efficiency and on time, to be able to use this information to let all riders know that they are safe when they take their train. So the second piece is how the issue of safety is basically important for the 8.6 million New Yorkers, but most important to those New Yorkers who had to get out from the train station that is not safe. You know, safety is not the same when it came to the whole city of New York. There's a two-way of how we've been addressing safety. And we know that many assaults is happening in train stations in underserved community. So as a chairman of this Committee of Transportation, it is an honor to be working. You heard the plan that the VP is presenting. This is a plan that is important for all New Yorkers. New York City is ready to be reopening. But as the VP said, in order to be reopened, we need to be sure that not only the 8.6 million New Yorkers know that taking a train is safe, but also the visitor that we expect they will be coming back. You know, before pandemic, we had 63 million tourists coming every year. We need to plan. We need to be sure that we are putting everything in place for the hotel to be reopening, that people continue getting the vaccine, but the largest transportation system in our nation that is so important for us, but also for the economy of this nation, must be safe, and that's why we are supporting this plan. We also are working together, and the VP also is calling and supporting the men and women in the TWA as they're calling for Albany to pass the law that also will increase the penalty for any assault that is committed against workers of TWA. Hoy nosotros estamos aquí con el presidente del condado de Brooklyn, quien está llamando a que se ponga un plan de seguridad para todas las personas que usan los trenes. El sistema de trenes de la ciudad de Nueva York es el más grande de la nación, el segundo más grande del mundo. Coger un tren en una estación muchas veces no es seguro, y mucho más si usted vive en una comunidad de personas de color, asiática, afroamericana o latina. Muchas de esas estaciones están en comunidades que ya están siendo víctimas de asalto en la calle. Hoy también nosotros pedimos de que el Estado de Nueva York pase leyes para aumentar las penalidades cuando los trabajadores de la TW también son asaltados. Con eso, muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to bring up from Hollaback, Jorge Ortega.
Thank you, Borough President. Thank you, Council Member. We at Hollaback believe that folks have the right to walk down the street, take public transportation, live their lives free of harassment, disrespect, and violence. Just as the Borough President pointed out, we've seen that ridership is 65 or remains 65% lower than pre-pandemic days. First, before I go into talking about bystander intervention and why it's so important, I'd like to thank the 2 Good Samaritans that intervened to help the woman who was assaulted at the station. It's not easy, we understand. And to intervene, you don't have to be a superhero. You don't have to slap an S on your chest. At Hollaback, we believe in empowering people with tools, with simple actions that they can use to stop harassment whenever they see it and stop it in its tracks. We know bystander intervention training is not the only solution. Instead, is one of the many tools, right, in our arsenal towards creating a safer New York City for commuters. Bystander intervention is community care, okay? Hollaback's 5 Ds of bystander intervention is centered on showing the person who's experiencing the harm, the support, the person who needs it the most in that moment. We urge folks, before you practice bystander intervention, to please assess your safety, prioritize your own safety. It is important. You might be thinking, what is this bystander intervention? Hollaback's 5 Ds of bystander intervention are: distract, create a distraction to de-escalate a situation; delegate, finding someone else to help you; document, creating documentation of the situation, and then giving it to the person who experienced the harm so that they can decide how they want to use that; delay, helping the person afterward, checking in on them, showing them that we care; and lastly, direct, directly intervening, of course, first assessing your own safety, creating a boundary, and then turning your attention to take care of the person who's experiencing the harm. Hollaback has partnered with the New York City Commission of Gender Equity to train New Yorkers on bystander intervention to address street harassment or harassment that takes place in public spaces. In these recent weeks, we've seen an outpouring of support and hope from our community. We've registered over 100,000 people in bystander intervention training, and in these last 3 weeks have trained 30,000 of those people. Let's train some more commuters. And we ask the MTA to join us on our mission to end harassment and to create safe spaces for all New Yorkers.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to any questions, if you have any at this time.
Yeah, Eric, the mayor was asked about the subway survey earlier this week. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you fine.
The mayor was asked about the subway survey and actually criticized the MTA for promoting it. He said the MTA should be telling people it's right to come back, not discouraging them. He said everyday New Yorkers know the subways are safe. So what do you say about that? Do you think that talking about the crime that's going on the subway discourages people from riding, and should we be talking about the good things that are happening on the subway?
Pre-survey, people were responding to how they felt. So it's not as though the survey encouraged people to talk about the lack of safety. I believe the survey was important to do because it is compelling us to acknowledge that we have to deal with the public safety. And I believe by talking about it and encouraging people to partner with initiatives like Hollaback, ensuring we have a real plan that is going to encourage New Yorkers to feel safer, such as the cameras, such as a real presence of our law enforcement community. And that is what we should be doing, not blaming the survey, but blaming the fact that we're not doing this right. I'm going to take the train because I believe that this is the best way to commute, but we have an obligation to ensure people are safe.
On
Let's do a real analysis of how we're deploying our officers. If you ride through the subway system, you will see officers are congregating together at a station. You don't need 3 or 4 officers at a station. I was a transit cop. I rode alone, and I did not have a working radio. I had a nightstick that I threw on the platform and hoped someone heard it. So I'm a little disappointed that we're not properly deploying the officers we have. We need to deploy them more efficiently to ensure that they can cover a larger piece of real estate and transit territory than what we are doing.
Eric, what are you saying there? Are you saying cops are...
With the bystander training, what would you say to someone who is maybe afraid of risking their own life in that situation? They're already in a situation where they think they may be unsafe.
Well, I think that Hollaback is clear, and I believe when they laid out their principles are based on how to safely be a bystander. Assess your situation, document the information, seek help from others, distract. So there are ways to be a bystander without endangering harm to yourself or to others. And one of the most important aspects of Hollaback is documentation. That documentation allows a apprehension later, and it allows those who are going through the crisis sometimes cannot properly document exactly what happened, and this person remains out at large. So this is great training, right coordination, and is arming people with the right information so they don't harm themselves.
Eric, what are you saying about deployment? Are you saying that cops are lazy or more soft than they were when you were on the beat? And why do you think deployment of transit cops has changed since you were on the beat?
Now, I don't think our police officers are lazy. I don't think they're soft. I believe that the right leadership would deploy them in the right manner, that we can cover more ground. And so it is imperative that the leadership allow officers to do the job correctly. They're following the directions of the deployments that we're currently seeing. That is not how we deployed during the high crime periods when I was a transit police officer. We need to properly deploy them.
Do you think they're following direction when they're sitting around fare gates on their phones?
I'm sorry?
Do you think they're following direction when they're sitting around the fare gates on their phones?
No, you should not be sitting around on fare gates on your phone or even in your vehicles on your phones. But they also utilize those phones for communications. The NYPD has connected the telephones with deployment. So we don't know if they're on the phones responding to calls of services, responding back to their commands. So I don't automatically state that because the officer's looking at his phone, he's not doing his job.
So to be clear, you're not calling for the 1,000 cops on the subway that the MTA is calling?
No, I'm calling for us to do an analysis of what we need to ensure we get the public safety that we deserve.
One more question if we have. No?
So I know you alluded to it at the start, but Andrew Yang is holding a press conference calling for parking placards to be formed outside Borough Hall. Do you feel that that is an attack on you? And so what is your response?
I didn't hear what Mr. Yang's call outside of Borough Hall. I was of the understanding that his press conference today was at Cadman Plaza in Johnson Street. I'm not sure if he's aware, but that's not Borough Hall. I'm at 209 Girolamo Street, but I would go further to state that's a New Paltz problem. And if he lived in New York City, he would know we have a crime problem. And the mayor of the city of New York that will focus on placards while 5-year-old girls are being grazed with bullets and 3 family members are murdered, and every day my Citizen app is going off on new shootings, that's really a privileged problem. That is not the problem that the New Yorkers I know are thinking about. They're thinking about over 1 million people not having money to pay their rent, food insecurity, inability to get children back in schools, unemployment, economy devastated. And that is what he's talking about. That tells me he's privileged. And the people I represent, they're not privileged.
Is placard abuse a crime?
It depends on how it's done. If a criminal behavior, if someone forges a placard, if someone is using it illegally, if someone is violating the law, then it is a crime. but I'm looking at predatory crimes, and I believe that's where our focus should be right now. But if you don't hear the voices of the countless number of New Yorkers who are living in fear, are concerned about the safety of their children, then you're going to have the concept and belief that someone illegally committed using a placard is more important than someone carrying an illegal gun. I'm focusing on the crimes that are taking the lives of our children and families in this city, and I believe he should be doing the same.
Do you have a plan for placards, to reduce the placards? Is that something in your platform?
Yes, we have inspector generals in every city agency. We need to hold them accountable. We have IC internal control officers in every precinct. We should demand that they hold individuals accountable. There are ways to do that and ensure that we can get the compliance that we need. Yes, I would. I'm not inside. I don't know how many are distributed. That's information that the mayor has. And after you vote for me, I'll be able to give you that exact answer.